It was only 17, so it was not that long, or 16. But Christine asked me.
Meeting calls to order. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, for the third time. It is now 7:33 p.m. Town Council meeting in the Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
Councilman Tucker,
Here.
Councilman Kennahan,
Here.
Councilman Padula,
Here.
Council Vice President Giroux,
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
There's a quorum. Minutes of previous meeting, resolved that the minutes of the May 31st, 2016 Town Council meeting are hereby accepted.
I'll move the resolution. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Consent agendas, license applications, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments being disposed of or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
I move the resolution. Second.
Hold on a second, I want to make sure I didn't miss something there.
I know what you're looking for. You're looking for private detective license?
No,
I
no,
couldn't find them.
No, it was just a, never mind, it's a loudspeaker, all right. All set.
Any discussion? Any public discussion on licenses? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. If you're here for a license, there's over 80 of them on the list. I'm not going to announce them all, but you all been approved.
Transparency.
Consent agenda correspondence, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
Move the resolution. Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Just want to let you know that we did finally receive a letter from Chris Messier resigning from the West Warwick School Committee, and a letter from an individual, Jasmine Conking, for the West Warwick School Committee. And so I don't know how we want to handle that. If we want to interview, right now I only see one, but there could be possibly two or three over the next couple of weeks.
There's two people that I believe reached out.
So if you guys want, we could schedule like an hour for an interview of both of them, see where they're going before we appoint. You guys think, what do you guys
Yeah, I
think?
think that's a good idea.
All right, we'll just keep that on later on. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Before we get too deep into the process, let's make sure each applicant is a Democrat.
Yeah, it's a,
It is a Democrat
Appointment.
position, appointment, so just got to make sure they're registered Democrats, and make sure they've been registered Democrats not for 2 weeks. They have to go through the process.
Amplifier, loudspeaker, and live band, resolved that the town council hereby approves the following application. Janice Drolet, 51 Arthur Street, July 2nd, 2016, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m.
I'll move the resolution.
Second. I know is the applicant here? I did receive a phone call on this one, and this is something that happens yearly, but I guess yearly that the police department has to be called. And mainly because of fireworks fireworks and very loud activities after 9 o'clock p.m. Ed, did you get that same phone call?
Yeah, that's my ward.
Yeah, that's why I forwarded it to you. So
No, I talked to the person that was concerned about it, and thanks, Dave, by the way, for forwarding that. And I told her, I said, it's pretty hard to deny, something like this unless there's something on record. And I don't know if the chief I don't think, the chief, do you have anything that you know of from 51 Arthur Street? I think the biggest problem is, and I wish Janice was here tonight,
51
Arthur Street.
Arthur.
Arthur Street, yeah, I wish she was here tonight because I had every intention of telling her that she's got to be concerned about her neighbors. A lot of them won't formally complain because they might feel intimidated or whatever, but there was concern. The time is fine. I think it's 9. It's what is it, 2 to 9? 2 to 9. So the time is fine. But I think one of the things was shooting off, which is becoming a problem, I think, in town, shooting off commercial fireworks, in a residential area. I've seen it, right around my neighborhood. I'm talking about commercial fireworks, the ones that you would expect to see at a commercial show, right in the neighborhood. A few weeks ago, there was a house that burnt down in Providence because people were doing something
Pawtucket.
stupid like that.
Pawtucket.
Pawtucket. Yeah, was it Pawtucket? Yeah, Pawtucket.
Oh, excuse me.
So, I mean, I would recommend approval, and I told the person that called me, with a stern warning that I'm going to ask the chief to please watch that area if you can, pay some attention to it. Legal fireworks, fine, but the large commercial ones that go,
Are there any complaints on the record?
yeah, well, that's
I-
what I'm
I-
going to find
I-
out right now.
I couldn't tell you off the
Yeah.
top of my head. I didn't look into it. I know nothing that stood out, nothing that was brought to my attention to say, look, we had this permit that was given, and these are the problems we had. I mean, we may have had some issues, but
Yeah.
I'm not aware of them.
Chief, one of the things that was brought up to my attention was they did call the West Warwick Police Department last year with fireworks. Police officer showed up on scene, told them, well, we don't see any, sorry. And then the next day, out in front of the house was 3 big garbage cans of all the paraphernalia of the firework. So, and I understand if they get there and then it's not going on, and I mean, it's tough to find, but, like Ed said, if we could just keep a close eye on it this year and make sure it doesn't get out of hand down there.
Sure, and I mean, the fireworks thing it's problematic. I mean,
Yep.
there's so many that have, people that have them, that are shooting them up. I mean, most of them aren't legal. I mean, if it goes up in the air and it goes boom,
Yep.
it's illegal. But,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't,
No, how are you gonna,
Well, you gotta-
we have trouble enforcing
No,
all
you
of
have to
it.
pick your battles.
Sure.
On this one. I mean, again, if they're going up, 600,000 feet in the air and they're spreading out to like 10 houses,
Dangerous.
it's dangerous, yeah, and also for the person or people that are setting them off, and the kids that are probably watching nearby. So, I mean, that's what I wish
that means you're not
I
gonna
could
have
tell
any this year?
Janice. No, I don't, not the large ones.
Chief,
I can let my neighbors do that.
Chief, do officers usually get notice of these? Just so they know, hey, maybe I'll drive around that area? I mean, I know
mean-
you're here
Yeah, I mean,
for
not,
this one, and
I know, sometimes we may put them in roll call, but I mean, it's usually not a problem. And we usually have, a copy of something on file where they can verify it. But it isn't, I mean, we usually don't have problems, so I mean, so do we monitor it all the time? Not necessarily, unless we have complaints and know that we've had problems in the past.
And again, Chief, this is the first time that I've received a call like this on Amplify loudspeaker, and I don't remember ever getting a complaint until this year on this address, but I just want, if we could just keep an eye on it this year if they
Sure.
call, and, that way there, if they come in next year, we can address those issues.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I don't know, next one I might want to watch, though.
Amplifier loudspeaker, resolved that the town council hereby approves the following application. Christopher J. Marandola, 15 Coit Avenue, July 16, 2016, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m.
I'll move the resolution.
second.
Moving second, any discussion? 10 p.m.'s early, Chris.
You just say 10 and then at 12, it's all.
Nah, again,
fireworks up at 9 now.
See, Chris don't have a problem. He invites all his neighbors. He gives them hamburgers and hot dogs, and they're all fine.
and again, the Marandolas, they have this party every year, and there's never been any issues, so I don't see any issues.
Nope.
Any other comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Town council acting as liquor commission. Class B limited liquor license, resolved that the following application for a Class B limited liquor license having advertised in accordance with law for hearing on this date, no remonstrance or objectors present, the same is hereby approved. Dewey's Inc., doing business as Dewey's, 656 Providence Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Class B is just
Beer and wine.
beer and wine.
Is
Dewey's
anybody
here?
from Dewey's?
Yes. Just come on up and state your name for the record.
My name is James Preet. I am one of 2 owners of Dewey's.
What is your hours of operation?
Right now, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We close relatively early. It started as breakfast and lunch. I was closing at 3 and 5. Once I extended the hours to 8 p.m., I decided to apply for this license for beer and wine to, facilitate the beverages with, 5, 6 o'clock meals and stuff like that. I don't really have any intentions on being open late or anything like that, so.
I mean, I finally got the pleasure of meeting you. Every time I go to stop by there, it's busy, and
Yeah.
I just haven't had a chance. I see no problem. A lot of people go for a sandwich, they want to have a beer or a glass of wine and relax. That neighborhood right there is,
And it's all bottles too
Yeah.
as well. I'm not
There's
putting in tap
nothing
systems
outside.
and going crazy with that, so.
The reason why I was asking, I just wanted to see, like, if you're staying open till 11, 12,
No.
1.
No.
But,
I go by there at 8, and a lot of times he's closed. That's just like a sandwich, breakfast, good breakfast sandwiches anyway. I never had lunch, I don't eat lunch. But, I mean, I see nothing wrong with that. We give it to the pizza guys, it's just beer and wine, so I see no problem over there.
all right, any other discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none? All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
Good
Congratulations.
luck, good luck.
Thank you, Jim.
We're gonna have the grand opening there yet.
I've been open for 4 months, I haven't seen you yet.
I told you, it's where the deli used to be, right on the corner of Pento, where they try to do the 2-hour parking without coming through.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you at Brian Drive too, so I said, oh, that's where I see it. Thank you. Thank you.
If our meetings got out before 8 o'clock, we could probably drop by.
A good sandwich, good breakfast sandwich.
Town Council, acting as Town Council, Department of Public Works fee schedule. That's it. Sponsored by Town Council.
No resolution, nothing?
That was a big resolution.
Move the resolution.
Second.
There's no paperwork.
Supposed to be there, I filed it.
Is this the resolution?
Whereas on the 17th day of September.
I got it, right.
All right.
Okay.
A lot of stuff there.
Want me to read the whole thing?
No, waive the reading.
It's just the underline.
It's, Dave came and, to change it from, for a pickup to per item to pickup, just very minor changes that they requested. I mentioned to Councilman Kennahan, and we still been under the ordinance system instead of the resolution system. Those 4 changes would have taken 3 advertisements and 2 hearings, and then you couldn't find them because they'd be in the ordinances. So we were much better off with the fee resolution.
Any questions for Al? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Cancellation of taxes. Tax collector resolved that the attached cancellation of taxes in the amount of $6,309.15 in accordance with Title 44-7-14 as authorized by the tax collector of the town of West Warwick and presented for the approval of the town council is hereby approved. The original list is on file in the office of the tax collector.
Move the resolution.
Moving second, any discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Bid award for the fire protection system for the West Warwick Civic Center ice rink. Resolved that the town council hereby approves the bid award for protection systems for the West Warwick Civic Center ice rink to Pierce Fire Protection, 24 Greco Lane, Warwick, Rhode Island, 02886, in the amount of $198,930.
I'll move the resolution.
Moving second, discussion, Fred?
Again, this is money that we allocated, the council allocated a few years back for the upgrades for the sprinkler system that were mandated by the State Fire Marshal's Office to install. The delay has been Kent County Water. We've had to go through a lot of back and forth with them, and because water pressure is an issue up on top of the hill there. But we were able to get through all the modeling we had to do and the pressures available. In addition to that, once the line's upgraded on Factory Street, its pressures should be better still, although they say upgrading the line's not going to change that. I find that hard to believe. But so it's been approved by Kent County. The bids are in, the money's already been allocated by the council, and it's in our capital account. So this will bring us into compliance with state fire code, which will eliminate the need to have details there for all the events.
Let's see the other bids.
which will save a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Any other discussion? Go ahead.
What's the time to install, Fred?
We're going to award it right away, and the idea would be that they would begin installation
more money.
immediately, and then with the two facilities, it's a lot of work. Those are big buildings. Fortunately, it's all open, so they can get to it fairly easily. We'd like to have them get as much done as possible over the summer months while there's no activity in there. And whatever needs to continue beyond that, they'll be able to do that in between the schedules. So we've already talked to them about that.
Business with Pierce Fire.
Resignation from the West Warwick School Committee. Resolved that the town council hereby
Hell, no matter.
acknowledges the resignation.
Don't do that.
Turn it off.
Well, I gotta,
Turn it off. Right, you turn it back on.
It's perfectly fine.
Didn't like your hand.
Oh, yep.
Doctor, it hurts when I do this.
how does it feel?
Must be the James Bond.
Oh, God.
All right, let's go.
Everybody at home's going, they want to be home for 8, but
Right.
Resolved that the town council hereby acknowledges the resignation from Chris Messier of the West Warwick School Committee for the town of West Warwick.
I'll move the resolution.
Second. Moving second, any discussion? If you could just send Chris a thank you letter for his service. It was great working with him for the past almost 4 years. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
An ordinance related to the placement of a traffic control device on Providence Street.
I didn't get any more information. I tabled that.
Yeah, and we had put it on because you did table it. What we're recommending, the Traffic Safety Commission did meet, and because the council wanted us to look at a fine process, what we're going to recommend is we just take these off the agenda until you approve the process, and then the notification defining that process will be done, and because these aren't anything that's, super urgent, so we felt.
Well,
Al's working on the,
depends, how long are we talking?
no, Al's working on it now, so
Yeah.
we're going to sit down again in the next week or so. and we're
August,
gonna-
September,
In
October?
July, we'll present
Oh, good, okay.
recommendation to you in July for a
Right.
process. We don't want to wait too long, but it's something that Al's working on it, we're with the,
Okay,
Safety
so
Commission.
nothing's going to be discussed or be recommended by the
Traffic
by
Commission.
the Traffic Commission
No.
then? Okay. All right, if
don't
everybody's
have-
all right with that?
No, that's fine.
there's not another council meeting until the second meeting in July, so that's when we'll present it to you.
These probably won't even be back on until that happens.
Till August.
Right.
So it'll be August.
Yeah.
August or September. Okay.
I mean, we gotta straighten this out once and for all,
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
I
you said.
agree.
So
I
take
agree.
no action on M and N.
You want to just remove
They
them?
both tabled already, they should have been tabled.
Yeah,
They are tabled.
they are tabled.
Yeah, just leave them.
It just doesn't say it. I know, it doesn't say it.
Well,
It says-
previously tabled,
Previously tabled.
No action.
so take no action on M and N. Let's move on to O.
The ordinance, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 Buildings, Article 2 Fences of the Town of West Warwick zoning code of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
I'll move the ordinance.
I got a call from Kerry that people complaining because we're the only town requiring a permit to put up a fence.
We never had a permit.
Well, people coming in and in our ordinance said you had to get a permit. So I looked at the state building code, and the state building code says you can't issue permits for fences under 6 feet. So all I did was I removed the obligation to get a permit from the ordinance. when I sent you, Councilman, the ordinance that I was presenting, I also sent you, just for your own knowledge, a picture of the whole ordinance showing what was being removed. The provisions that are in there for the standards for fences, for the damage to fences, for the responsibility of fences, that's all still in there. So that if somebody's got a fence that's a problem, Kerry still has the right to go out and inspect and make sure that everything's done properly. It's just that people don't, when they're gonna put up a fence, they don't have to come in and get a permit anymore.
But,
Al, we
Al-
went through this about 8, 9 years ago, when I think Murray was the building official,
yeah,
and there
but
was no ordinance on fences.
well, no, there was, but you're saying
It was
this,
the road.
the state says you can't require permits for anything under 6 feet.
Yeah.
Anything over
But 6 feet, you can't.
6 feet, you gotta go to for 6 feet, you gotta go to the zoning board.
That's what they call them.
Over 6 feet.
Over
No,
six,
6
over
feet.
6 feet, you gotta go to the zoning
No,
board.
is it over 6 feet? I thought you just said the state was,
6 feet and under
Don't need it.
don't need a permit. If you're going, in our ordinance, it says, if you're going over 6 feet,
yeah.
you gotta go to the
Right.
zoning board and get permission.
Because you got structural issues, and you also got the spite issues.
No, I mean, North Providence requires it. I know because
Well,
I had
the-
to get a permit for a 6-foot stockade fence.
The
And
building
they taxed
code,
it, and forever I'm paying
The
$35 and change per
the
year on it.
building code says exemption from the permit requirements of this
Body
code
tax?
shall not be, permit shall not be required for the following,
Required.
fences not over 6 feet. State building code.
Don't pay the $35,
Yeah.
I say you just
Well, no,
saved
that's what it is.
yourself.
It's like that, because it was $1,000 to put it up, so they charge you.
state one, so now you can fight it.
Which means it shouldn't be included in property tax, right? If you don't
Why
need a
would
permit
that-
for it,
Why would that be
how could you
included?
include it in property tax?
A fence usually doesn't
No.
increase property one way or the other.
Oh, it
Right.
does in North
That's
Providence.
not,
I'll tell you right now, commercial property, it does.
Commercial property might be a little different.
Yeah.
Usually a fence is not gonna increase. or
It's not a
decrease.
permanent structure.
yeah.
If you're the new owner, you can take it down. Or a commercial property, they may have an ordinance in North
Right.
Providence regarding commercial property.
Right, it's gotta be fenced.
be.
That's probably what it is.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Angela?
Yes.
Brian? Yes. Ed?
Yes.
David? Yes. And I vote yes, this is the first reading. Thank you.
Al, can I ask you a question before you go? Sort of related to this. Where do you go to find out how, if they don't need a permit anymore, so they can put a fence up and only until the neighbor complains that we'll send somebody out, right?
Basically, yeah.
That's what'll happen now. So what ordinance says how close to the road you can put the fence and, you know, if you can put it on the sidewalk, past the sidewalk, 5 feet from the road,
I would
or
say
whatever?
I can't give you specific, but I'm sure it's in the zoning code for setbacks and.
Yeah.
A fence, is a setback on a fence?
No,
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes,
along that line.
yes.
Oh, sure there is.
You know, you can put a boundary fence up, but
Yeah.
it would be somewhere in the zoning code, I'd have to look into it, but. that's what-
I remember us looking at something or passing something last year, a couple of years ago.
If it
where
blocks the
on a-
view.
On a corner.
Right.
For example,
The fence was new, you had to push it back. All right, so how would you know that unless you needed a permit to do it? I mean, I think we might have made a mistake here, because although you're saying the state doesn't require it, but how do we know if they're,
an example of that.
you know, if they're putting it on the right line or whatever? I mean, how do you know?
If you did.
Only if the neighbor complains. Now,
The neighbor complains, or the building official goes by and sees it,
oh, well, I mean,
I understand, but, you know, that's.
That would block the view from Ball Avenue.
There are, in the
If it
zoning
blocks
code,
the
there are
site.
limitations on blocking views and even with shrubbery,
Yeah.
so that.
But,
but when would they, how would the person that's installing the fence know? So that means that all fence companies now don't have to bother to come to the town and get a permit for it.
I'll tell you, I don't remember them ever doing
They
it.
never did.
They never did, because they used to say no permits.
Is usually, again, someone's gonna call, but most people, it's like when you try to plant, you wanna know where your boundary is. Now, most people, when they buy a piece of property, don't have it surveyed, even though they should. So then someone says, oh, no, that's your property, they put the fence up or the plantings, then the neighbor comes over and says, why are you
But
doing
then
that on my yard?
then it's civil.
Then the next
That's
thing-
what's happening.
And then you run into this another area where somebody puts up a shed and they put it. too close
Walls
to
are
the-
different because they're
you know, they
permanent,
put it
the
too
fence is
close
not
to the
permanent.
back line. Well, so the building official never sees it till the neighbor behind them comes complaints, and we had one the other day that Terry called me on a trampoline. You know, well, we don't enforce any trampolines, it's
You move it.
not a structure, but a lot of this stuff.
You could put a fence up that's up for 30 years, it's still gonna be considered temporary.
Yeah.
You put a wall up, it's considered permanent.
In order, in many of this stuff, in order to enforce either the building code.
5 more
or the
guys.
zoning code, it's,
You could hire 10 more guys and you couldn't do it.
Well, we could find probably a lot of ordinances that require that much resources that we could get rid of. All right, thanks, Al. That was great. Thank you.
Well, and Ed, going back to your point, I mean, I know, I seen it just, you know, just 5 years ago, my neighbor put up a fence. And I could show you the workmanship of
I've
this
seen
fence. And somehow or another, don't ask me how, but my other neighbor's fence, who cemented everything and put everything in proper, his fence is all blown over and he's now has to replace it. But I'll show you a picture after the meeting of a fence that was installed 5 years ago. Don't know how it's still standing, but it is today. But it, you know, is there an ordinance to say you need to use good craftsmanship and put up a fence? I mean, it's ugly as all heck,
No,
but
but only when it blows down, then they have to.
it's never moved. I'm kind of like
I
wondering
guess
how,
they
never
have.
used
They
cement,
to. I
nothing.
don't know. Maybe we'll change that too.
But
Okay.
Town managers
Turn it to
report?
Wild West there.
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, Brian, there's a request from the Station Memorial Park to install a streetlight overlooking the parking lot. And so they put a request into grid, and those have to be approved by the council before I can authorize them.
Get that on the next agenda.
But a street light, Fred, is gonna be towards the street. I mean, I thought they were
Right.
putting a spotlight where it was gonna focus down.
Yeah, they want, it has to be through the grid, so it's, yeah, it's basically going to be like a floodlight, yeah.
is it Cohasset or Coolis? We can approve Coolis, but Cohasset's a state road, isn't it?
I'm not sure if it's going to be on the road or within the park itself.
Well, I mean, you gotta see what kind of light they're talking. They're not talking a regular street light.
We'll get a,
They put a meter on them. They put a
We'll get a-
meter on them floodlights.
Let me ask you the question, is the light to illuminate Coolis or Cohasset, or is it to illuminate the park?
I think, the park.
Right, that's a private issue.
Right,
Yeah, that doesn't seem
that's what I'm saying.
anything for us.
That's,
Grid contacted us and asked for our approval to put it in. I think they're planning to maintain it and they're planning to do it, but Grid requires,
but if they
they're
put,
asking us.
Then let Grid do it then, if they want to put it on
Right.
private property.
they gotta put it on with a meter.
Wait a minute, hold on. If it's, the pole's gonna be on private property and the illumination is on private property,
Yeah.
why would the grid contact the
Right.
municipality?
They want us to pay for it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's on the
That's
street.
expensive.
So it's on, oh, so they want to put it
Tell them we're
on
gonna have
on the
Prism
existing
put it in.
streetlight pole, is what they want to do.
Tell them Prism's gonna put it in.
All right, the light for Coolis or the light for Cohasset?
I asked for details.
Why don't we get Gina Russo to appear before us, tell us
Okay.
what she's looking for, then we'll tell her.
We'll get
what
plans
the-
for it and stuff too. All right, we'll put it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's easy
They
enough.
want to illuminate the park,
Yeah, that's.
Just-
which is probably a good idea, but
You still have an expense that they don't wanna volunteer.
Just to give you an update, we went out to bid for IT services. That was, and that encompasses basically all of our server maintenance and upkeep, all of our desktops, laptops, networks, systems. We have 7 proposals, actually it was RFQ, sorry, we've got 7 submittals from companies that we're reviewing right now. We'll have a recommendation for the council at the next meeting. Anybody that would like to review those, I think he
I
emailed
started
you.
looking at them. I only
Um,
know one of the companies I haven't do business with, but I'll, if I get some time.
Yeah, if you get some time,
Yeah.
take a look at them, but if anyone else wants to take a look at them, we're going to ask Jim Monty from the school department, the IT person over there, to review them as well. Just so you know, Danny Yee did not submit, so, we'll be moving on from that arrangement, but they're a lot of
So in
decent
other words,
companies, a
Yee
lot of
won't be here?
experience. He didn't submit. We asked him to, but he didn't submit, so. So just to give you an update, like I said, we'll have a recommendation for you at the next meeting, is our plan, and we'd like to implement that for the next fiscal year. Next thing, regarding technology, the filming of the meetings. I received an email from the pension board chairman that one of his board members voiced serious concerns about the filming of their open meetings, which I explained to them that we want to do all the meetings. And he said that a certain board member, he didn't give a name, but a certain board member is threatening to resign if the meetings are going to be filmed. I've also received a comment from the zoning board saying that several members are very uncomfortable with the filming. My take on that is too bad. They're public meetings. We film our meetings now, and these are important meetings for people to be able to see. But I said that I would present it to the council. It's ultimately your decision, but we invested a lot of money in this process to benefit the citizens. I don't see any reason why open sessions of meetings should not be filmed, but I leave that to you.
Transparency in government.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think they need, and I would certainly regret those people leaving. I really would. I mean, I think that would be crazy, but I think they've got to understand that, I mean, all of us are dedicated to transparency in government.
Absolutely.
And because people can't attend the meeting because they're working late or whatever, right, it's not a reason for them to be informed about what's
Right.
going on in
This
the
is the
meeting
people's
because of
business.
technology. And we've invested in technology to do this relatively simply. So it's not to be, a gotcha moment, although it could be if they do something stupid. But it's meant to be an informational moment. So people understand, become part of the government, understand the government, and again, be part of it. It's transparency. And I certainly, again, would regret them resigning. But if that's the attitude they have, then they don't have any respect for transparency of government. And that's too bad. So maybe just explaining and talking to them or whatever might change their mind. I hope they change their mind.
Well, the thing I don't understand is, do they understand that they're not being recorded in an executive session?
They do. We made that clear.
But again, whatever they do in public session, people can come here.
Exactly.
And so what's the difference of, the only caveat they don't have is to be able to ask us questions from
Right.
the camera. But other than that, at least they know what's going on. Yeah, I'm a little nervous of that one. But, a perfect example was the development that you sent me an email on. There was no recordings of that development over on North Pleasant Street. And that individual actually came to all the meetings and kept record of everything, and found when they started developing 10 years later that they're not following the rules because it's 10 years later and they think everybody doesn't know about it. Luckily, that person has brought that to our attention and understands what was going on, but other people at home also who live in that area could have been watching it, who couldn't get there. There's a lot of elderly people,
Sure.
and a lot of people who work, and a lot of people who might have the luxury of watching it from their desk or something, but not able to get here.
Which is why the council made the investment.
And we spent a lot of money.
It makes
don't
them
work for
accountable,
the
too.
boards.
It makes the people
None of us,
accountable.
none of us work for these boards.
Right.
We work for the people in this town.
Correct.
So that's the people's wishes. They allowed that money
Yeah.
to be put,
I
and
agree.
that's what they want. So,
I just wanted to make sure that everyone was on board.
If I could just add one thing, an anonymous complaint, you can't even really
Right.
even
I mean-
ask
Well,
the council.
I've got an email from the chairman saying,
No, but the chairman didn't give you the name of the members.
correct.
So it's an anonymous complaint, so you really can't address it anyway. Now, if the person wants to sign their name and give a detailed explanation as to
I
why they
agree.
feel they should not be televised, then
The
let 'em.
only thing I'm concerned with is that individual doesn't want it recorded, but again, your voice recorded, now your face goes with that voice. Also, the members of the zoning board, that's shocking, because they make decisions that affect this town every single day
Public appointment.
as far as development and whatever else. And I would want people to see what's going on and what's being developed, CVS. There's a lot of people who don't realize that's CVS that's going up in Arctic. What's going on in Arctic? Well, they don't know.
Right.
So at least if they can go back and look at zoning board meetings and even history and say, wait a minute, I remembered something about this meeting, we can even go back. Well, I use it on occasion, saying, hey, I remembered something, and I go back and I watch it. I mean, so I don't see a big issue, but, hey, you know what? I hate to say it this way, but if that's the reason why they want to resign, then unfortunately, they'll probably have to resign.
This is a much better public record than just a recording, a bad recording, you know, trying to find some tape somewhere. You know, it's digital, it's permanent, it's there. There's no question down the road.
When I first got on the council, I got a copy of the tapes. It was cassette. I had to go home and find something to play this back in. I'm like, I can't, you know, then finally I went to CD.
I've seen it over the years, working with the Secretary of State's office and public information and everything, where people are fine with public information being available, but they're not fine with it being easily available. Right? That's the difference. That's what it is. I'm telling you, a dozen times at least in my history, working the Secretary of State's office for almost 10 years, that it's public information, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to put it on the internet. No, you're not. But it's public information. Well, no, they can get it too easy that way. Well, that's what we want to do. We want to take it out of the dusty metal filing cabinet and make it available. When the technology improves, we're going to take advantage of it to make it even easier for people to understand what's going on and participate in their government.
All right.
That's what it's about.
One quick thing, Fred's going to be speaking on the next topic, and please, this is a very sensitive topic right now. Keep comments to yourself. If you have concerns, if they're proper concerns, feel free, but please do not, this is, like I said, it's very sensitive.
So what I just passed out is a letter from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island. They're our medical provider. For those of you that aren't aware, back in May, the president issued executive order with respect to gender identity disorder and the way that, and basically making it so that no one can discriminate based upon gender identity disorder. And there was a lot of implications to that executive order, and one of those was with respect to health care. You can't discriminate with respect to health care. The way that the insurance industry has viewed that is that any request for treatment under our gender identity, which would include any operations, would be fully covered for any fully insured Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Health, everyone in the state of Rhode Island, under their fully insured programs would be covered 100%. In addition, any requests for in vitro fertilization treatment previous to this executive order, there was a stipulation that parties had to be married. They are eliminating that requirement. So they are recommending, Blue Cross Blue Shield, recommending to all the self-insured clients of theirs, which we are one, to their recommendation is for us to follow suit because they believe that the executive order is clear and that we would ultimately be required, but it has not been tested in the courts at this point. But their recommendation is that we follow suit, but they will not mandate us to do so. But they are asking that if we choose not to, that we decline to change our benefit in this letter, sign and send it back to them. In speaking with our representatives, they're recommending that we follow suit because everyone else in the state is doing so, and that for us not to would be an issue. Obviously, it's a sensitive issue, and it's something that I felt that before I move forward with anything, that the council needs to be aware and let me know how they feel, how you feel we should move forward.
Well, one thing I personally, whatever anybody does, that's their business. But the only thing I have about healthcare is very expensive as it is now, especially for us in the community, in the town. And it's constantly rising. And to me, personally, healthcare is designed for health reasons, meaning to keep you healthy. Cancer, heart attacks, whatever you may have. I have mixed emotions on it myself, but I mean, what could it cost us in the end? I don't know, because self-insured, I know, if you happen to have 10 people who decide to do that, then what's that going to cost the taxpayers of West Warwick? And should the taxpayers of West Warwick have to cover that type of surgery? I don't know. And again, whatever that person decides to do with their life, that's their decision. But, the taxpayers basically foot the health care here, and is it fair to them?
I agree.
I'm a little...
I agree with Dave. I mean, where does this end? Plastic surgery because I don't like the way I look and I want to look like Fred or Ed? I mean, does the health care pay for that?
No, it doesn't, but I don't think you can equate that to this.
No, it's a different,
But in other
Experts
words,
would really
what-
argue that.
Right.
no,
What
it's,
is-
it's again,
what is- what is that gonna cost?
Well, if you notice in the letter here, Blue Cross has gone through the process of estimating a cost of this service based upon, their research. And it's, I guess you can say it's a negligible cost because the actual number of individuals, but you just don't know until someone comes
The
forward.
only
so.
thing you've got to really be concerned about is, and again, take it for what it's worth, in the second paragraph, it states, "We now cover gender reassignment surgery when our medical criteria are met."
Correct.
And that medical criteria goes much beyond
Right.
just the outward appearance.
Correct.
There's a psychological
Yep,
battery.
there is.
that They have to
Right.
go through.
Absolutely.
So there is other medical concerns regarding just, a plastic surgery decision.
Yes.
So it's really not plastic surgery. The other issue is, if the expense, based upon all the data that will be coming out, I'm assuming in the next 3, 5, 7, or 9 years, shows that this is going to be
I think it's gonna be a growing trend.
relatively normal for it to happen, and the expense goes up. Then you've got an issue of collective bargaining, because these
Right.
particular members, because of this gender reassignment, may have to end up paying more of a copay, but that's gonna put you into litigation
And
as
discrimination.
discrimination.
That's right.
So no matter how you look at this, ultimately,
Choice.
Blue Cross,
No, you don't have
Blue
a
Shield
choice.
make the decisions for most major policies as it relates to healthcare. So you get notified usually after the fact, normally after the contracts have been signed. And now, if there's an increase, you really don't know what it is right now, but as David said, that, it may go up, it may not.
What's gonna happen is everybody's gonna have a bigger copay to pay for, and that's the only way it can work, but
Blue
like you
Cross will
said, we
probably-
have no
they'll-
choice
they'll-
to
They'll
follow.
probably try to spread the cost out as much as they can,
Yep.
but the fact of the matter is, there's really not enough evidence or statistical analysis right now as to what it could possibly cost in the future. So
The other
it's
question I
It's certainly
have,
not just plastic surgery.
well, I've personally had to deal with a situation like this at work, and my question I have, would that force the town to put special bathrooms in and whatever else?
Well, again, right now, the unisex bathroom did exist back in the 70s. If you wanted to have a unisex bathroom right now, you could. If someone was going to complain about it, it would be up to them to bring the action, either under the EEOC or some type of gender discrimination.
What I've seen was them add another bathroom, a third bathroom.
Well, again, a lot of it has
a
to do with the
unibathroom.
communication between management and its employees as to whether or not, are you gonna have a different bathroom for every different type of person, which would be very inefficient regarding cost. But there's a lot of different things that are going on in the world right now that, sometimes it's just simple communication between management and its employees.
Bert?
Bert Monahan, Monterey Drive. Mr. President, this thing may change again in 6 months' time. If we get the right president in, all these executive orders are going to be canceled, and that'll take care of it.
Thank you, Bert.
It's above our pay grade right now.
I wouldn't do anything now.
We have no choice, we have to either.
Yeah, we can't deny
It's
that.
not the executive order, it's Blue Cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't this come down through an executive order, what you have?
Blue Cross has interpreted
We have to
that way.
comply.
But the
If
health-
not, we're opening ourselves to a big lawsuit.
The healthcare provider, it's not the executive order pushing it, it's the healthcare provider.
We either decline the benefit or we just.
So, yeah, but the healthcare providers, aren't they going by that executive order?
Yes.
They've
That's
interpreted it
that's
that way.
probably right.
So what happens if that's all been canceled? Then,
Of course they're gonna put
Bert,
a
they're
cost
pushing the
on
cost
us.
to us because they're fearful of
Right.
litigation, and they
Right.
want to make sure all their holders or their policyholders are going to be able to help them
Right.
defray the cost of litigation. So
Right.
that's why they're doing it now. They're getting ahead of the curve.
It's like the guy that goes to the hospital 10 times a day and you go once a year. You're paying for that 10 times a day.
That's
what's gonna happen.
The only concern I have is being self-insured,
Yeah.
that
The
the
expense.
pool goes up and then the expense goes back on the employees, the taxpayers, and whoever else. That's the only concern I have, and you're right, it might be one now, but from what I see, what's going on here in the United States, it's a growing trend. And, now that it's gonna be paid for, it would be a bigger growing trend because it's covered.
Right.
You know, before it wasn't covered, or you'd have to get the approvals, there'd have to be medical reasons why you're doing it, and so on. Now, if it's approved, and now I think it'll be a growing trend, and I think employees who are paying more for healthcare now than ever, not just here in West Warwick, but
Pay more.
in the United States, Northeast corridor is notoriously 20% higher than anywhere else in the country. And now you could see your health insurance increase due to these reasons. And, you know, I don't think it's, you know, that's the only thing I'm concerned with is the cost goes down to the taxpayer and employees. And I think,
Well, that's out of our hands.
that's my only concern.
If all those executive orders are rescinded, what will the health provider do then? Will they change on that?
We have the ability to go back to them.
Right.
Change.
The window usually opens every 12 months, so if the executive order changes because there's a new president, and then the healthcare provider says, we are now going to change our position, now we're going to open it up to all of our policyholders to determine what they want to do. Some may keep it, some may not. But, you know, insurance, they're only going to give you that window of time, usually every 12 months. So they're going to monitor what's happening, they're going to see if there's litigation, they're going to see how many people are going to take the opportunity to have the gender reassignment surgery, and they'll make the call. But right now, like I said, statistically, there's really not a lot of evidence to go by.
And Bert, what you just said is it may change in 6 months or a year, but you got to remember, there's two candidates right now. One may change it, and one may not. So
You know,
I'm just-
one won't.
So I'm just letting you know now. You know, those executive orders may stay in place.
Well, we have no choice. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Yeah.
Finance update?
Good evening, Council. I just have one item that I wanted to mention to the Council. Fred and I do have, as well as Karen and Joe Spagner at the School Department, we do have a call with Fitch tomorrow for our annual rating call. That's at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I can send the call information. I did send it over to the Council President and Vice President, but try to be mindful of number of council members on the call. But again, I will send the information and then we can decide from there. But one thing I wanted to point out about it is we have been informed that Fitch now has new methodology that they're using for their analysis. It has to do with revenue projections and also reviews of revenues over the last 10-plus years. And as part of this, they're looking at what has happened for the revenues, and they're also projecting what they believe could be worst-case scenarios with revenues. So there's a lot of revenue-driven items with this. And they also are looking for us to make them aware of other revenue sources, how much of the revenues the town council actually controls in terms of what the state may mandate for fees versus what the town council can fluctuate with fees. So we're giving all that information. We're also giving them information related to fund balances outside of the general fund that could be brought in to the general fund in worst-case scenarios, because the council does have some power to reallocate, funds from other sources. So we're providing all that information, and I do want to let the council know that normally within a week we get some results of these calls. There's some communities, would be the third community that's actually going to go with the new method, with this new analysis, and they're the city of Pawtucket, I believe, had their call 3 weeks ago, and they still don't have their results. So it is something that's going to take some time before we actually get some feedback from them as far as what they feel they will or won't do with our rating. So, like I said, the call will be tomorrow, but it's going to be some time before we actually get some type of results.
Has any community that's using the new methodology received?
Nothing yet. We're only the third, and I believe Pawtucket was the first, and they've been waiting 3 weeks. So, obviously the subsequent community, which I don't remember who it is right now, but they haven't either. So it could be.
Is this new methodology good for the town, bad for the town, or unknown?
I'm not an analyst, but it depends on what they're going to do for worst-case scenarios. Realistically, we do have some limitations of what we can do for raising additional revenues, i.e. the 4% max that we can do on taxes. We do have some revenues within, the clerk's office or building department that may be set by the state. So I don't know how much flexibility we would have in terms of that, but I don't know, honestly. I don't know if this is their way of trying to hedge whether or not, the outcome or the outlook for municipalities in the next 5 years is a positive thing or a negative thing, I don't know. But it is an extensive analysis that they are doing. Normally, they just send us a few questions. Not only do they send us the few questions, but they also ask for a lot of data that they hadn't received or asked for in the past. So what we've done is Adam and Maureen at First Southwest have been talking with Fred and I every couple of days. They've prepared a presentation based on information that we've received, and what I will do is I will send that presentation to the council as well, so you do know if you can't join the call, you'll at least be able to see the types of information that we've provided and the types of things that they were looking for, i.e. the fund balances and revenues and different things like that. So it'll be a little bit of a longer waiting game this time than last time, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll put our best foot forward to convince them that, steps are being taken in the right direction.
Again, that call's 10 a.m. to 11.
10 a.m. to 11:30. Okay. All right, any other questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
When turbines are all up, they're about to go through the testing phase with Grid. Grid requires 1 month of testing, which basically means,
What do they do with the electricity for that month?
what do you think they do with it?
That happens to equal a testing fee? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, but after that month, we should be online, provided everything goes well and there's no issues.
Expect any different?
So we're anticipating late July or August 1?
Right around August, what we're assuming.
Why don't we test out their electric for a month, free of charge?
Yeah, we can say, John just brought up too, we did get notification today, the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank met, the board met, and they approved us for funding for one of the turbines. So they'll bond that one on our behalf. We're still waiting on the rates. We're going to check the rates first but they should be better than what we can get on our own. So that'll allow us to bond one of the turbines through them, and we will likely be extending our ban on the other two because the rate is so good right now. It's actually cheaper than it would be if we went out and bonded them right now. And in the meantime, we can also look at reapplying to Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank for next year. There's a possibility they might pick up another one next year. And also, there's a new grant round that we're pursuing that we might be able to use to offset the expense, part of the expense of one of the turbines as well. So to keep, is the cost as low as possible, we're looking at all those options. But if the rate is as good as we think it's going to be for Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, we'll bring forward to you the approval to move forward with that.
Right. In addition to the turbines, they did also approve the, we had previously had an ordinance for approximately up to 1.3 million for the streetlights / building improvements. They did approve that portion as well, but it's the same thing. We'll look at the rates and see if it's something better to
Bring it
go
to
through
you.
them or through PRISM. So again, we're trying to explore any and all financing options for these to minimize the cost. And right now, like Fred said, the bans are so low. We'll roll those as long as we can, because that'll be that much better, that will actually, that much less of a debt service payment, which ultimately in the end will mean more savings. And Webster Bank has actually stepped up to the plate and already been willing to, and I want to, give a shout out to them, so to speak, like Adam said earlier today, and Fred had mentioned as well. They are more than willing to help because they believe in the project. They'd like to be part of it, so.
When are we gonna name those turbines? We're gonna have the kids name them?
But they gotta be Angelo.
Windy, right? Ed?
Dave and Brian.
One thing I'd like to follow up with is, wind energy, you mentioned they would have something at the high school for the kids to see. I think it's a great teaching tool.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll make sure that,
Follow through
yeah.
with that, so everything's online and run.
Maybe we could build a little laboratory, so to speak, up there on the
Yeah.
premises, you know, where the kids could go and,
You are a crazy scientist, aren't you?
yeah. Well, no, I mean, like, you know,
You're right, and they talked about doing something like that, so they'd have
Oh,
like
really?
a little
Yeah.
lab where they can go and they can get all the readings.
understand the science of wind
Yep,
energy,
see
how,
that, yep.
how the machinery
You don't
works.
have to hire anybody to teach that, do we?
No, the teachers will,
Yeah, science teachers will.
will go up there and they'll bring the kids up there from, not only
Councilman
from West
Kennedy
Warwick,
volunteered.
but
Councilman Kennedy volunteered.
all around the state, right?
Dave just volunteered.
Get them young, and then they'll appreciate, you know,
Agreed.
alternative energy, right? And they're the future scientists and engineers
That's right.
of the world.
You never know, you could inspire some child.
Exactly, of course. That's what it's all about.
All right.
Not just about one.
I got one quick thing. I received a letter from David Perry. He says he's writing to I'm sorry. And we'd like to bring a concern to your attention. A visual observation of the caboose gives the appearance that it is leaning slightly towards Providence Street. It may be an optical illusion due to the surrounding hilly landscape. We feel that it should be checked out professionally. Also, you may or may not know the firm who installed the caboose. It was Hefferman Brothers and Movers. After the site had been readied and prepared by the National Guard, the electrical piping connection to the caboose appears to be serving as a resistance to further leaning. So, so we'll take a look at that, but they did turn over the key to Fred, and so if anybody's looking to volunteer and put that on, because that's just gonna be another Parks and Rec thing if that's the case, but it is a good decoration for the community. I'd hate to see it go to waste. I think that whole area is becoming an epicenter of West Warwick, so if we can continue keeping it, but at least I also like this to be a letter sent to each individual and thanking them for their years of service on that caboose and maintaining it. They were pretty much just doing things by raising money and whatever else they can do to maintain that, so unfortunately, the time has come where everybody said no more. So maybe we want either that or we get new volunteers. All right, any other questions? Any other public comment? Bert, come on up.
Bert Mollahan, Monterey Drive. Mr. President, has there been any discussion about, are we going to have anything at the gazebo this year? Any entertainment like we've had in the last few years? We are going to have that?
We have a full schedule posted outside.
Oh, there is a schedule. Oh, great. And how about the antique car show? Is
Same
that,
thing,
well,
that's July 27th.
we're going to have that too?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, we've got a Providence Journal correspondence. Yeah, and.
Wow.
We have two great.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you for the second.
Two great outlets going.
Yeah.
On the entertainment, are you giving out the sheets, the schedules, the
Schedule's
menus?
out there for all the entertainment for the gazebo. We have all the bands that are playing.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
Any other public comment?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good and happy, safe 4th of July.
Yes,
We'll
happy
see you
4th of July, everyone. you wanna see some nice fireworks, the Rue's house. All